And so begins another episode of Jason Sims Says Hello. Please welcome your host, Jason Sims.
Hello, I'm Jason Sims. I'm glad that we've been given this time together, and I hope that you get to laugh. If you're a stick shaking enthusiast, I challenge you to check out the following URL: jason-sims.tumblr.com/sayshello, because there are more links related to this podcast at that URL than I bet you can shake a stick at. And you can check out episodes while you're there, once you get tuckered out from stick shaking. I am of the opinion that most podcast intros are entirely too long. Here's the first sketch. Hello, I'm Alan Palmer. For 22 years, I had the privilege of serving as a boom operator for the beloved children's television program, Sergeant Silly's Fun Brigade. It was truly the greatest job of my life. Working closely for countless hours with such a genuine and gentle man was an inspiration and helped to make me the man that I am today. You knew him as Sergeant Silly, but we all knew him as Harry. Harold Appleton was truly one of a kind. He was, however, a human being. He had mostly good days, but also a few bad days. In my time on set, I can only remember 3 occasions in which he lost his temper. These recordings have remained buried in the vaults for years, but I want to present them here publicly for the first time, not to defame him or tarnish his image, but in the interest of preserving a fuller picture of Sergeant Silly, who was a being of flesh and blood, as you or I. This first clip is from September 1st, 1979.
And that's why you don't have to be afraid of the dark. All the things in your room are the same. It's just... Could we cut?
Yeah.
Guys, I'm sorry to even bring this up, but could you maybe keep it down back there with the paper shuffling? It's a little distracting. Thank you.
That was the first time I ever saw him lose his cool. It wouldn't happen again until June 14th, 1985.
Downsizing doesn't mean your mom or your daddy's going to shrink. It just means they might have to find another...
It doesn't really read on the tape, but the cue card guy was wearing a watch, and the light was reflecting off of it into Harry's face, so, he gave him a stern look and a sigh. Here's one last one, recorded during our final season, August 1st, 2001.
And that's why you don't have to be afraid of the boy or girl in the mirror. It's just light. It's not your doppelganger come from a parallel world to replace you. It's... Really, guys? Again, with the rustling of the paper? I told you once. Now, I know it was a long time ago, but we only have one rule here in the Funtime Brigade, and that's that I don't tell anyone anything more than once. Corporal Kooky, lock the doors.
Harry, calm down. It's just an accident.
I didn't ask, Corporal Kooky. Lock the doors. That's an order.
Okay.
Now, I've put up with these unprofessional working conditions for long enough. That's twice with the papers. And once with that light from that stupid watch in my eyes. And the only way that I've managed to keep my sanity is a little secret that I've been keeping right here in my pocket. Want to know what it is? This is a radio remote control. See the little button? See how it blinks off and on? Off and on? Boop, 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 boop. Kind of like a little human heart. This remote sends a signal to a detonator. Do you know what a detonator is? That's a thing that makes explosives blow up. And that detonator is over there in the tater peeler's messy mess hall. Right there in that barrel of taters. Now, it's wired to squares of composition C. Have you ever heard of composition C? Well, it kind of looks like modeling clay, but it's not for playing. It's a plastic explosive. And there's enough of little blocks of composition C wired together and placed at strategic points in the studio to blow this whole block sky high. And every time I get upset, I just reach in my pocket and push this little button. And then it starts flashing. And if I don't push it again in 1 minute, the countdown starts. I wonder how long ago I pushed it. Well, it must have been a minute ago because that's the detonator. I wonder how long the timer's set for. I guess that's for me to know and for you to find out. Unless I push this little button again and deactivate it. Would you like me to do that?
Yes. Yeah.
I can't hear you. Would you like me to do that?
Yes.
Do we all think we can get our acts together and finish this shoot so we can wrap this series up so I can go home and spend time with my family?
Please.
Okay. I feel better. Unlock the doors.
Later that night, the station management had the local bomb squad do a full sweep of the building and found that the remote was only connected to a tape recorder that played the sound of a countdown, so no harm, no foul. We all had a good laugh the next day. Thank you for listening, and like Harry always said, I order you to stay silly. You know, some folks are going to be surprised by those clips, but I heard that Sergeant Silly was the demolition expert in the Navy SEAL unit in which Mr. Rogers was a sniper, so, seems legit. I'm coming to you from my home here in Huntsville, Alabama. And Huntsville's an interesting place. It's not quite like the rest of Alabama. We have a bunch of engineers in this town, a lot of them working out on Redstone Arsenal, which is a big military base, and in other places around town, and they are working on who knows what. Maybe robots or biotech or crazy weapons. Basically all the things that our great-grandchildren will be fighting with spears made out of old pieces of rebar, in the ruins of our cities. Huntsville, Alabama, we're building tomorrow's nightmares today. Keep up the good work, guys. Like I said, it is a high-tech town. A lot of my friends here are in the tech industry in one way or another. One of them was until recently. He lost his job because he got arrested for committing computer crime, which is something people will do now because we live in the future. He went to prison, and when he got there, he had to join a gang for protection, and he joined an IT gang. They help all the other gangs, with their Wi-Fi and devices and all that kind of stuff. So I went to see him, and he showed me this big prison tat that he got. It says, glitches get stitches. At least that's what he told me. It said. I couldn't read it because it's in binary. He also carries around a little USB shank. It's loaded with a pirated copy of Linux, so people know he's hard. A lot of troubles out there. It's one of the reasons why the insurance industry exists. I bet some funny stuff goes on in those insurance offices. Let's listen.
Mr. Wren?
Yes?
I tried to stop him, but...
Stop who? I demand redress.
Him, sir.
Are you Carlton Wren? Yes, I am. And you are? Richard Hayes, a long-time customer.
He asked to see my boss, and I said, my boss is Mr. Robin Colvin, VP of Operations, and he is on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, I want to see your boss's boss.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, the only person higher up than him would be the president of our company, Mr. Carlton Wren.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, where's his office?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, on the top floor. but that he needed an appointment to see you, and that it was too late in the day to make an appointment.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, I'll see about that.
Okay.
And then he ran past me,
Mm-hmm.
and then I tried to catch up to him, but he was too fast.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ran back to my desk and paged you,
Mm-hmm.
and then, well, here we are.
Okay. Well, since he's already shown himself in, I'll go ahead and see him.
I'm so sorry, sir.
That's okay, Robbie. Have a seat, Mr. Hayes, and we'll see what we can do to resolve this issue that you're having with our company.
I'm too mad to sit. I choose to pace.
As you wish. Well, you have my undivided attention.
I have done business with Lucas Home and Auto for over 20 years.
Well, we appreciate it.
You have a funny way of showing it.
Give me a moment, Mr. Wren, and I'll pull up your account. I see you have a number of policies with us. Looks like we've done quite a bit of custom underwriting for you.
Yeah, you bet you have.
There are some interesting policies here. Standard home, life, and auto in 1994. Then in 1996, a custom policy against fadage of my most awesome pair of jeans. Are those the jeans that you're wearing now?
No, they're inert gas sealed in a museum quality case, like the Constitution.
Okay. Because I was just going to say the jeans you have on now are not what I would call particularly awesome.
These are my ratting pants. I put them on for storming offices.
Storm a lot of offices, do you, Mr. Hayes?
When I have to.
So I trust the jeans we covered haven't faded.
Not as of the last time I checked.
Well, that's a relief.
I'm not here to talk about my jeans, though, Mr. Wren.
Well, then what are you... Oh, here's a policy for the coverage of damages to property and emotional distress in the process of my storming offices when I have to. Ooh, well, it looks like you got your money's worth out of that one.
The premiums that I pay on the other policies should more than make up for that.
Yeah, it looks like you're right. This is fascinating. Here's one against getting trapped in an elevator after someone who just farted in the elevator exits the elevator and leaves me trapped in there choking on their fumes, and then somebody else gets in the elevator and thinks that I'm the one that farted in the elevator, and then I got to ride with them all the way up to the 12th floor. Mr. Hayes, that is very specific.
It happened once on November 2nd, 1993. Not since. Knock on wood.
Let's see here. Looks like we wrote you a policy against seeing my own reflection in a mirror doing something different from what I'm doing. Can that even happen?
Better safe than sorry.
Coverage against biting into a raisin cookie thinking it's a chocolate chip cookie. Fairy kidnapping insurance. Noid avoidance insurance. Vehicle coverage on a Voltron? Mr. Hayes, what's a Voltron?
It's a giant robot made of lions.
I see. Yep, it says so right here. Being a giant robot made of lines.
If they ever invented one, I knew I'd want one. So I just wanted to go ahead and have the coverage in place in case it slipped my mind in the excitement of getting a Voltron.
Mr. Hayes, I think I know why you're angry. And please, let me be the first to apologize.
Well, it's about time.
Please understand, I had no idea about all this. First thing in the morning, I'll make sure these policies are canceled and that you receive a full refund.
What?
No, you've been taken advantage of, Mr. Hayes, by a greedy member of our custom underwriting team, and that is not how Lucas does business. I assure you, Mr. Wren, no one pressured me into any of those policies. I personally designed them, and I had to practically twist your underwriter's arms to get them to take my money. Then I'm afraid that I don't understand. It's this. Okay, let me see here. Dear Mr. Hayes, we are very sorry to inform you that your request for insurance against werewolf attack has been rejected. We cannot in good conscience take your premium payment to protect you against a danger which does not exist. Company policy as well as federal, state, and local laws compel us to inform you that werewolves are mythical creatures and thus pose no threat to the public. We thank you for your business and hope to continue to serve you in the future. Signed, the Custom Underwriting Department. I want my werewolf insurance. I need it. Tonight's a full moon, for goodness sake. One moment, Mr. Hayes. Yes, Robbie.
Mr. Wren, everyone else has gone home. Do you need me to stay?
No, Robbie. You better be getting home.
Good.
My best to Julia and the kids.
Thank you.
Have a good night, Robbie.
Good night, sir.
Mr. Hayes, I do have a bit of a confession to make. Okay, that's not the first time I've seen that letter. And it wasn't written by my underwriters. It was written by me. What? I know very well who you are, Mr. Hayes. You are a fearful and ignorant little man. But you're also a rich little man. And your fears and insecurities have bought me more than one boat. I'm not sure how to take that. Of course you're not. Because you're stupid. If you like taking my money so much, why wouldn't you take my request for werewolf coverage? Well, you know what they say. Even a blind hog can find an acorn now and again. Huh? Mr. Hayes, other than the occasional office storm and a raisin cookie claim, I have no intention of ever paying you a dime on any of those policies. Noids and Voltrons pose no danger to my bottom line, as they do not exist. Werewolves, however. What was that? Automatic door locks. They lock on the full moon for protection. Werewolves are very real and secretly the third most common cause of death in the United States. It's all covered up. Big Lycanthropy has a very powerful lobby. I see how it is. You sit up here in your fancy office behind your werewolf-proof doors while the rest of us are left dangling out in the wind. Mr. Hayes. A wind thick with the howls of werewolves and the screams and lamentations of mankind. Mr. Hayes, you don't understand. These doors are not meant to protect me. They're meant to protect others from me. You've got eyes like Michael Jackson when he turned around at the end of Thriller.
It's too bad your coverage was denied, Mr. Hayes.
No.
You're going to need it.
No. Hello. I'm Jason Sims, the host of Jason Sims Says Hello. The scene you just heard was a dramatization meant to warn you and your loved ones about the dangers of werewolves. None of the actors were harmed during the recording of this scene, but tragically and ironically, Judd Watson, the actor who portrayed Mr. Wren, the werewolf, was tragically killed on his way home from the studio the night that this was recorded by a werewolf. Werewolves are real, and they secretly kill millions of Americans every year. Locking your doors and windows when the moon is full and stocking up on silver bullets are both a good start. But nothing compares to the feeling of security you get from knowing your family is fully covered by a Jason Sims Says Hello werewolf insurance policy, which only costs pennies a day. As a side note, I'm legally required to read the following disclaimer. Quote, I am not a licensed insurance agent, and my company is in no way associated with any licensed insurance agents, underwriters, or companies in this or any other country. Werewolves are mythical creatures and thus pose no threat to the public." End quote. Think about it. Doesn't the fact that I'm required by law to read that kind of disclaimer, prove my point? So, if you're interested in getting yourself a little protection, contact me and we'll continue this conversation offline. You can't see it, but I just winked. Remember, the scariest thing about a werewolf isn't that it's a man with some wolf in him, but that it's a wolf with some man in it. Okay, this is the real Jason. Again, not the character that I was playing in that sketch just now. I guess now I exist in whatever universe these sketches are taking place in. It's weird. Hopefully I'm better looking there. Speaking of good looking people, some more lovely people left ratings and reviews on our iTunes page. iTunes user S. Charlesworth said that the podcast was consistently funny in a smart but not New Yorker cartoon way. Andy Fetter called the podcast very funny and well worth your time. I'm sure both these people are as attractive as they are kind. And in fact, I bet you would even be even better looking than you are if you stopped by the iTunes page and left a review or left a rating. And I don't know how much good it does for the podcast, but it lets me know what you feel about it. So please be honest. You do not have to leave a 5-star rating. You do not have to leave a positive review, but at least leave a constructive review. In my opinion, the most helpful thing that you can do is to share this podcast with other people. Share the links, tell people about it, let them hear it. That would be the thing I would appreciate the most, because that's why I make it, for people to hear it. Everything in this episode was written, produced, and performed by me, Jason Sims, except probably for some sound effects. At the time that I'm recording this, I haven't added all the effects. So if I used any that require attribution, that attribution will be in the show notes. On Twitter, I'm at Jason_Sims. That's SIMS, Sims. You can subscribe to the podcast via iTunes, Stitcher, or the RSS reader of your choice. You can listen on YouTube at youtube.com/House of Sims. You can email me at emailjasonsims@gmail.com. Links to all of these things and more can be found at the aforementioned challenging URL, jason-sims.tumblr.com/sayshello. I would tell you that you can also get some affordable werewolf insurance there, but there's no such thing as werewolves. You can't see it, but I just turned around and I have those Thriller contact lenses in my eyes. It's a shame that this is audio because they're very uncomfortable and they were very expensive, and now I am not sure what I was thinking. Oh well. Mr. Announcer, get these people out of here.
And so ends another episode of Jason Sims Says Hello. Once again, here's your host, Jason Sims.